Alrighty. Well, I went to the shops the other day. I had to get myself a 9-inch disc. I've got stacks of blooming 9-inch grinding discs. No use for them. I got 4 of them included with an angle grinder that I bought. But I needed another cutting disc because I've burnt out all my 9-inch cutting discs. Plenty of 3-inch, but not enough 9-inch. Our company boots don't like angle grinders too much. I looked down and the smoke was pouring off. I thought, oops, now you stuffed a good set of boots, but I mean, they're not that good anyway. I could tell the sponge is not going to last too long on them. But anyway, nice gesture. Surprise, surprise, we're going to get a ham for Christmas. Couldn't you see that coming, working for a piggery? It was either that or a bottle of wine, and I'll definitely take the flaming ham any day because I know the ham's going to be worth about 5-fold what the flipping wine would be worth. Plus I would actually use it, whereas I'm sick to death of all this cheap flipping local wine. Anyway, I was in the shops getting the 9-inch disc, and I was having a look around and just realising, you know, some of the consumeristic crap. I got this thing. This actually lights up surprisingly good, and it's only a little 3 LED thing, but the other 2 I've got in there work all right, but they've got no reflectors behind them. It's just a solid black and a single LED, so they don't really shine down properly onto the door. And I could go and get a little bit of silver paper or whatever and stick in there, and I might do that, but let's face it, I probably bloody won't, because I've got this and I'll just screw that on, and that is surprisingly good because it directs the light because of the little reflector in there. But it's, yeah, definitely light up the front door darn sight better than the other 2 will, and yeah, but anyway, I've actually got a use for this, you know, and I would like it to last ages, friggin' years, because it has a use that I would use for years to come. Having said that, I know it's made in China, and it probably won't last any more than about 2 months. Look at that. They tell you not to put it up on a too high an angle because the stupid O-ring underneath this black piece that they've got little screws to hold in probably leaks like a bloody sieve and the water comes inside, so it's not quite as outdoor as you thought. But I was going through looking at all the Christmas stuff. Holy smoke. Frickin' rubbish. God blimey, consumeristic crap. And, you know, I sort of realised I went to the supermarket. Same Christmas lights, same box. The only thing different is the sticker, which has a different brand name on it. Same price. I think it was $1 dearer at the supermarket. And, like, I was looking at all this stuff, and I just thought to myself as I was sitting there in the supermarket, I've seen this at the hardware store a few minutes ago. And I've seen this whole concept of you go to the hardware store and there's one, and then you go to the supermarket and there's another one. Absolutely bit for bit identical. Even the packaging, it's in the same box. And I could have gone to, you know, a different supermarket, the competitors. You know, I was in Woolworths, I could have gone to Coles. They would have had the same shit on the shelf. They probably would have charged another $5 more instead of just another $1 more than the hardware store. But this is a thing. Why the hell do people get so enthused about going shopping if one shop has the same cheap Chinese crap as the next shop? And I mean, it is just absolutely bit for bit identical. There's no difference. And all these LED lights they had, you know, one they had is a certain amount of watts and a certain length, and then they had, you know, another one that was a certain price, and there was only about $1 between the price differences. They were all the same ones in the same packaging, And you could tell because the little transformer to run them was the same electrical company. You know, Wang Flung Dung, Xinjiang province, friggin' crapo manufacturing. But I went into another Chinese, like a dollar store thing, Chinese junk shop I call them. They're also known as $2 stores over here because we get ripped off on everything that America gets for half the bloody price. And in there was nothing different than what there was 9 months ago. You know, scented candles and this stuff and that stuff, and I didn't actually see anything new. The only thing I saw that was any different, there was any new product that they didn't have, is a product that's been around for centuries. It was a tobacco pipe. I actually haven't seen a tobacco pipe for sale for, probably like more than 5 years now. And I was intrigued to see that they were actually selling them in there. But other than that, that was the only new product in the store. I just couldn't, like, why go to the shops if they had the same shit as they did 9 months ago? Why go to one shop to get fascinated over all the Chinese shit at the hardware store if they've got all the same shit at the department store and then at the supermarket? It's all the same crap. There's really seriously no variety in the products in this country. I don't know how much different it is in the States. I think it's slightly better in the States. But then again, I may be wrong. You can be the judge of that if you live in the States. You know, consumerism. About 20 minutes ago, I was watching a video of a Canadian girl. She's pretty hot, but she's married. And her husband's some sort of a white-collar worker. And she makes little vlogs of her life where she... Shit, you know. You ever thought Troy doesn't do much during the day? You should see this girl. Flaming hell. You know. She video logs a lunch and a breakfast and everything. I mean, that's how flippin' drab it is. And starts off, you know, with a video and this and that. And oh, I forgot to tell you, I almost forgot. You guys, it's the whole point of making this video. Such and such has their half-price sale, their half-yearly sale, rather, you know, tomorrow, and this and that, and blah, 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 and everything. Just consumerism, you know, like everything was, well, I'm getting bored now. Maybe I'll go for a drive, but I've got to stop by this store, that store, the other store. I just like the feeling of this place. I like the feeling of that place. Every time I want to go in there, I want to, you know, remodel me home and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she just sits around the freaking house all day and then comes out with all these different ones that she goes shopping, you know, to buy this and buy that. And, you know the girl, blonde-haired girl with a little flaming ankle-biting shit of a dog, whatever you know what I mean, one of those little toy dogs as they call them. And just the, God blimey, the consumerism, you know. And, like, it wasn't just the consumerism, and it wasn't just the fact that, like, she, you know, when Troy's having a lazy day, he does 4 times the amount that she does, but she's putting a bun in her hair, and she can't get the fucking bun to work right in her hair. And then she's going, oh, God, the troubles girls have. I thought, fucking hell, tell me about it, you know? Like, you know, tell me about it. You can't get a bun in your hair. Oh, what a fucking hard life it is. You know, I work with Sudanese refugees, and they knew, because some of them saw it firsthand. The family members shot in the back of the head, you know. Oh, I can't get a bun in my hair. Oh, my heart bleeds piss for you. Fucking hell. You know. I've worked with Korean people. They had an air compressor running, big 3-phase thing, freaking whopping big thing, to run this equipment. And Well, the old fitting they had on the damn thing was out of the Stone Age, wasn't it? One of these air fittings. Oh, cast iron friggin' air fitting. She blew to bits, and I mean it frickin' blew to bits. And those of you who know what Nelly bins are, they're like the bulk handling bins for potting mix and fruit, and we used to put chicken in them at the chicken processing plant I was at. And they're basically just like an IBC-sized plastic tub. They had one of those full of potting mix. I used to unload them with a forklift. And it was sitting right near where this air compressor fitting was, and she just went frickin' kaboom. And this thing, literally, the tub took shrapnel of this air fitting. Well, all the Aussies bowled out the door like friggin' Osama bin Laden had just blown the shit out of the place. And the Karen people just kept working, and they come inside, and they're still taking these propagation trays off the end of the machine as they're running off the conveyor belt. And they said to the Karen people, "Geez, didn't you shit yourself?" "Oh no, we're used to loud noises. The army used to fucking mortar us in the middle of the night." I mean, you can look at some of these people's channels and you just, compare it to some of the people I've worked with. And some of the people, there's a hell of a lot of people who come from war zones in Australia. I mean, a lot of these people, if they're not out of India or China, you can almost guarantee they come from a friggin' war zone. I mean, it's that fucking bad. The amount of war zones that occurred, and just bang, people have been transplanted here from post-war Europe, and current war zones and stuff like that. And, meanwhile, this chick also had a little grumble on the video. The husband come home after working a hard day, looking after her lazy consumeristic ass, and while she was out, frolicking around, driving around the SUV to see what shit she could rack up on the credit card, he was out working. Anyway, stupid little yipper dog goes and gets inside the doona cover, and so she had to do it all again. But I need him to do it. It's a two-person job. She comes home, he's done this two-person job on his own. But there's some wrinkles on the bed sheet. Husbands, look, he's done it all messy, whinge, moan, groan. Hang on a minute, you said you needed him to do it because it was a two-person job. And now, you're bitching that it's all, not perfectly unwrinkled. Well, boo-hoo, he just spent the whole day working for you and to pay for all your credit card spending, and now you're not happy that the bed sheet's not perfectly flat. Well, you had all day to, straighten the thing out yourself, but you decided that you needed him to help you do it, and he done it on his own, and then it's not straight enough, boo-hoo. Honestly, I hope he cuts a friggin' credit card off. Make her wake up for a minute. It's, I'll tell you what, I'm not necessarily hanging shit on people, but you just think, where the fuck would these people be if they woke up one day and their country had turned to Sudan, or it had turned to, where were the Karen people from? Burma. Or they were refugees, or something really befell them bad, like the manager that I used to work with at the vineyard. He was Hungarian. He never mentioned it because it might not have been really during his time. He probably, might have been just before he was born. I think it was, actually. But they had a dramatic period of hyperinflation. And if you thought the Weimar Republic of Germany was bad, they had the worst in the world in Hungary, And you look at things like that. You look at Nicaragua. They didn't actually have enough money to print more money. It was that fucking bad. They didn't have enough money to buy the paper to print more money. I'm not joking. They got out the stamp set and started stamping extra zeros to increase the denominations of the bills. I'm not joking. That's how bad it was back in the 80s. And you just sort of look at these fickle people of today and you think, what the fuck have we become, I'm not saying me and you, what have we become, but you just think, this is the community. This is the society we're in. These people, I mean, thank God none of them live around here, but realistically speaking, you guys who are watching in the city, these people are probably part of your community. If some calamity occurred where, heaven forbid, they have to talk to the goddamn neighbours, you know, that in itself is a bit of an anomaly, you know. That's a bit of a, oh, well, with some people. When I done my apprenticeship, years back, the old spray painting one, his daughter was up in Sydney. There were neighbours that had lived together for 7 years, but they didn't know each other. The only time they got to know each other was when in one of the houses across the road caught on fucking fire, and they had to ring the fire brigade, and they were panicking that maybe there was dogs and cats trapped inside, or, you know, who the hell owns the house. They didn't know. It was the first time the street got together, and these neighbours, some of them had lived together for 7 years and didn't know each other. And only got to know each other when someone's fucking house burnt down and they had to make a go of working as a team. Yeah, look, you know, holy smoke. But if that's not the case and you've actually got to go out and barter one-on-one with other people in an economic collapse, where the fuck are people like this going to be? You know, there's people like me who have got sheep running everywhere. And the equipment to butcher said, sheep, fuck, we've got the bandsaws. Hell, if the power goes out, we can run the bandsaw from a generator. You know? And yet they might have to come out to these old hillbillies out here and have to barter for food. I honestly doubt they'd even get out here or even attempt to come out here because it'd be out of their depth. But maybe once you haven't eaten for a few days, that's nothing's out of your depth by then. But it just sort of brings it to home sometimes. You think, like, if I was up Shit Creek, you know, over there, you see all the dots? I know you can see them. That's all rose hip. Dog rose. The rose hips on them are edible. As for the ones right on that plant over there, and that's some of the ones I was eating actually were off that very plant. You know, even the box thorn behind me here, berries off that are perfectly edible. I'd be terribly surprised if I could make flour out of the seed heads of these, if the flipping cockatoos and sheep didn't get them firsthand. You know, this is the thing. If shit comes to shove, I'll be fine, you know, most likely. A lot better than most. Because the neighbours here, maybe not directly over there, but you go up half a mile, I've got distant cousins, people married into the family, all hillbilly families sort of get intermixed. It's just the way it is in these areas. And as a result, it means that you've got a lot of people who feel a connection with you, not just because of community, but technically speaking, my great-great-aunt lived in your house and stuff like that, you know. And let's put it like this, when it comes to food, I could acquire 50 tonne of wheat by next week, no fucking problems. You talk about wine, I can get you 2 big rigs full of wine by tomorrow afternoon. You know, seriously. Food here isn't an issue and whatnot, but you sort of just, I'd be fine. I wouldn't worry for myself because I know I can make it, you know. I know that I'd be fine. I didn't have much, but out there's another edible weed, and it tastes exactly like silver beet. And there's heaps of it around, actually, in the vineyards. I don't have that much, but there's enough of it on the side of the road near my parents' place. And it's actually good eating. And then you find out that it was a medieval vegetable. Everybody ate the stuff in medieval Europe, apparently. If you look at some of these other poor saps, you know, who think they're on the top of the food chain, who are consumeristic as shit, and you think, how the fuck are we going to carry these turkeys if there's a true calamity, if it's a civil war, if there's a real economic breakdown? And the fact is, at the end of the day, they're probably going to go the same way a lot of these people do under a calamity. Up a shit creek in a barbed wire canoe. But anyway, that's my little consumerist rant, and the people that have emerged from this consumeristic, brainless, made in China world where they just, it's like a fucking drug, they can't not go to the shop. You know, it's been times here where I haven't ventured to shops for shit. When I was fixing this place up, I could not venture to an actual food shop for 6 weeks at a time, you know. Might end up going to the hardware store once or twice a week, but that was only because I was fixing the house up. Actually, yeah, once a week or every second week, more like it. But, you know, and given the right stuff, if I didn't eat as many eggs, or if I just bought a big heap and knew that the use-by date was 6 weeks out, you know, I could avoid going to the shop for, well, 6 weeks. No big deal. If I stocked this place correctly, if I had 2 days to prepare, or possibly even 1 full day to prepare, I could set this place up and I'd be fine for 6 months. I wouldn't have to step into the outside world. But it's a strange, strange world. It's an artificial world that's been created around these people. It gives them this consumeristic twist on everything. Because none of them ever grown any food for themselves. None of them have done anything except go to a bloody shop and work a 9-to-5 job, you know. And well, some of them mightn't have worked 9-to-5 jobs necessarily, but their ability to sort out something that they can't do themselves is close to fucking zero. And as a result, you've got this independence that is just so hard up. It's fucking scary, you know. Because without other people, they'd be flat on their face. They would be flat on their face. You take South Sudan, for instance. You know, a lot of them there were farmers because they friggin' had to be. And you see what they're farming. Fuck. It's like fucking desert. And they're trying to make a go of farming it. And if they don't, they fucking starve, you know? And there's not many other things to do aside from messing around with farm equipment and trying to get it up and running, which most people do on their own anyway. You know, like, you're not really in a world where you can get everybody else to do it. You've got to do it all yourself, because that's what you face with a country that's on its knees and wrecked from civil war, and their biggest priority is just eating. And usually these things are in such short supply that you don't expect somebody else to have food and be able to buy it off them. You just got to get off your ass and you got to fucking grow that food yourself, you know. If the damn crops don't get burnt by rebels, if your tractor doesn't get burnt by friggin' rebels, if you even got out of the place with a tractor, you know, if you can even get access to fuel, which they've got a little bit of oil, but I mean they don't have a refining capability in South Sudan. Having oil wells doesn't necessarily give you oil. You need that refining capability. Unless you got one of those old tractors like I see at the steam show, and they run off directly off crude, but they're pretty rare and very old. Anyway, there's my little consumeristic rant. Bit of food for thought for you.